get the popcorn ready because we are about to see some crazy action tomorrow in the stock market. We are heading into a giant event that only happens one time per year, and volatility is just getting started. In today's video, we have some very awesome and important news and setups for tomorrow, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot you need to know about, so you better stick with us towards the end. But at this time last year, the stock market got its face rearranged, and we're heading into a very important event. So, Tom, let's jump right into all the details for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Today, we had a terrible drop in the market. I mean, we started really falling down through these key trend lines, too. It's looking brutal heading into the event, and it's the Jackson Hole Symposium. For anybody who doesn't know, Jackson Hole is a meeting where a lot of the big Fed people meet from multiple different countries and all over the place. It's hard to find exactly who goes to the event, but Powell will be speaking at it tomorrow at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be very important to note that down there. I will be live on the StockedUp Live YouTube channel if you want to cover it there, as long as I can find the video. Sometimes those videos are tough to find, but I will be covering it there, Mike. It's going to be a big event, and with the market selling off today, it was definitely a scary thing to see ahead of such a big thing with Powell speaking. If Powell does have a negative reaction on the market, that is going to be a big drop-off, and the SPY, I could not believe today, is almost back down to lows of the past couple weeks. It was just a brutal sell-off.
Exactly. So let's go back in the charts, Tom, to what happened last year. So basically in these events, like Tom already said, we have like a bunch of like big name central bankers and economists from around the world that, talk about what we have going on right now. And last year, Jerome Powell, who's sometimes our friend, sometimes not, had a very negative tone and just completely destroyed the market. We could see in that like light blue circle, and that arrow right there is what happened last year. Like the stock market was holding up just fine until Powell spoke, and when he spoke, the market sank quicker than a stock that Jim Cramer goes long on. Seriously. Like it just was selling off in a brutal way, and what's kind of scary is it lasted for like months at a time. So, obviously heading into tomorrow, a lot of people have a little bit of PTSD from last year, and I think that's part of the reason we saw such a decent sell-off today. And Tom, I saw you were teasing us for a second there, showing us some news articles from last year when, the market was plummeting off this news. So, yeah, I mean, tomorrow's definitely a huge day, and to say it's going to be a volatile one is an understatement.
Yeah, it dropped 1,000 points the last time he had this speech, so definitely be aware of this. And, we start to see the pictures. It's a pretty landscape there, but it's a mountainous landscape too. And I feel like right now stocks are just so high still, even with the drop today. I think that whenever we zoom out, look at the SPY. Like we had lows of last year towards the end in November down around like 348, 350, and we're all the way up still around 436 here in after hours. So it's going to be really important tomorrow to see what happens. But I will say, Mike, we've been watching these trend lines for a little while now, and it looks like SPY broke it this morning ever so slightly. Now we are back down, confirming there, and we go to QQQ. It also was very close to the trend line, kind of confirmed down off of that one as well, and it's just crazy. SPY also broke this other trend line as well. I don't know, obviously not trend lines aren't going to make Jackson Hole any better or any worse, but with these breaking, I feel like there's a lot of traders looking to the downside anyways, and if Jackson Hole just adds fuel to that fire, it's going to get brutal. And poor NVIDIA, Mike, it was looking so good yesterday. Now it's almost back negative.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for this stock. Like, it was soaring yesterday in after hours, and then I guess you can say reality set in as we went through the day today. People just locked in profits, and like when you run up so much, it's harder to just keep on running. So like for example, like when Nvidia goes from $100 up to $500, it's going to be a lot harder to go from $500 up to 1,000 because it's just like you can only stretch it so much. So, it's definitely slowing down a little bit. But I'll tell you, Tom, like even the way that, all of the momentum that Nvidia had, the way it was just completely stopped is a warning sign in of itself for tomorrow. And even looking at the heat map, it's not like we just had a couple stocks in the red today. Like we had Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Tesla. Like we had a lot of big stocks and a lot of stocks just in the whole market just in the red today by a decent amount. I mean, poor Disney, Mickey Mouse fell by 4% today.
Oh, that one was brutal, Mike. I could not believe that Disney was still falling off. Like, we go look at their chart. That was one of the most brutal sell-offs I've seen, and one of the most brutal sell-offs that we've seen all year, honestly. They're actually making new lows all the way back to, what was it, Mike? I think I saw like 2014 in the Discord earlier today. Okay, down to around like those COVID lows, like 2020. But if you take 2020 out of the equation, it's honestly down to lows going all the way back to 2014, like I said. So keep your eyes on Disney. It's crazy. And Mike, I know that we've talked a lot about Disney and picking up shares on it. I just want to tell everybody, I'm still bullish on this one for the long term. Just in the short term, it's going to be going down. And this is exactly why, Mike, we've talked about averaging in on this. It's crucial that you didn't go all in and that you leave yourself some room to continue to get in as it falls.
Absolutely. Averaging in is the way to go. So that's all good there. But Tom, ahead of this Jackson Hole event, we're also seeing some scary data that has to do with active managers and their current positioning. So basically, what we're seeing right now is a giant decrease in the exposure that active managers have to equities or stocks. And basically, long story short, active managers control just enormous amounts of money, and what they're doing right now is significantly reducing the amount of exposure that they have to stocks. And obviously, that's not a good thing to see them reduce their exposure by this much this quickly. We can see how far that line just falls off a cliff, and I guess you could just say it's another warning sign when you could see the at least so-called smart money making such a rapid adjustment.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll say that with such a rapid adjustment, it's such a small move on the S&P as well. Like we see some of these other adjustments where we were seeing them, really sell off, and the SPY was starting to sell off pretty well, or the S&P. But this one, it's kind of been holding a little bit higher. I think the floodgates, Mike, are about to open based off what we've been seeing here lately. I feel like once the retail side of things start to catch on, it's going to be a rough winter here. But let's be ready. That event tomorrow is going to definitely play a big role as well. And, we just went through earnings season, and some stocks did good, some stocks did bad. But I don't know about you, Mike. Overall, I would say it was a pretty bad earnings season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of stocks definitely took a beating this season, but it happens. But some other stocks held up all right. So it's definitely been mixed. And some very interesting news that I came across today is actually with Dollar Tree, believe it or not. And the economy's getting bad when you see Dollar Tree saying that theft is such a problem, it's going to start locking up some items or just stop selling them altogether. Like, that's definitely not news you see every day. And, to see, like, it's one thing if you have, like, Target saying, yeah, everyone's stealing from us, or like, something like that. But it's like when Dollar Tree saying like, hey, like we might have to start literally locking up some of the items, it's kind of concerning. So take from this news what you will, but these retail companies, whether it be Walmart or Target or Dick's or Dollar Tree or anything else, have been seeing a lot of what they call shrinkage over the past year with the theft and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened with theft lately. I don't know if it's because people just aren't getting caught, or they're not getting in trouble for it necessarily. I know that you can just go run into these places. Now, don't go do this and say, oh, Tom said to do this. But I know you can go into these places and take stuff and just literally run out the door, and the workers aren't even allowed to do anything to you besides call the police. And a lot of times the police don't really even care whenever it's that little of an amount of things. So it's a weird situation, Mike, but definitely one that makes you sit there and scratch your head and say, this is definitely a different world, than like 50 to 100 years ago. And that economy is definitely playing a bigger role probably than people think, especially on the lower end. Like, the middle class and the upper class are probably doing okay right now, but on the low side of things, it's probably pretty rough out there.
No doubt. So interesting stuff there. But Tom, let's get right into the fun stuff, which are some of these setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is Amazon. And Amazon just had a nasty day in the markets today. Basically, it was just straight selling almost all day long. I am going to be watching this one to the downside for tomorrow. If it breaks below that like 131.20 to like maybe even that 131 level, I would definitely watch puts on this very closely. But I'll also say this. Just because last year's Jackson Hole event was absolutely brutal for the markets, that does not mean the market has to crash this year. It is very possible that the market just holds up this year or does good. So don't just go into tomorrow thinking that the world's going to end, right? Don't get me wrong there. But in the event we do see more selling pressure, I will definitely be watching Amazon to the downside pretty closely.
Yeah, I love that support coming up. And with the way that these stocks have been bouncing lately, I could definitely see them starting to break those lows. That's actually one of the better ones, Mike, because a lot of these stocks are kind of like nearing that support, but Amazon's like right at it right now. So I love that one for tomorrow. And with my first one, I got to go with Boeing. I actually called this one out today in the day trading channel in the Discord. Ended up doing pretty well. At first it opened, it ran down nicely and then fell down more as the day went. But I'm looking at them tomorrow off of a key trend line. We've been watching this trend line on it for a little while now, starting to break down below it end of day. If we could fall under like 217 in the morning, I will be looking at more puts here, especially if Jackson Hole goes bad. Now, if Jackson Hole goes good and Boeing starts bouncing up off of this, maybe you could be adaptable and look at some calls, maybe up to like the 224 to 225 support or resistance there. But if it goes south, that'll be the main play I'm watching for. And if we go to Bookmap and we do end up breaking down, Mike, there's some pretty big levels to watch, like 215 even and 210 had a lot of buyers the past couple days. So I will be watching those areas as key supports as we fall down.
All righty, good stuff there. Another stock I'm going to be watching pretty closely is SQQQ. So basically when tech stocks or the NASDAQ sells off, this thing really soars to the upside, and it had an amazing day today. And a lot of times during times of panic, it can last for a couple days or even a couple weeks at a time. So I'll definitely be watching this one to the upside tomorrow if we get some decent panic selling coming in. And while we're on the topic of SQQQ, we have to talk about today's bot play, which was basically perfect. So our bot today called out the SQQQ $18.50 calls at $81 each. By the end of the day, these things were trading for over $180 each. If you're looking to get in on this action, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. The bots have been on fire lately. Not only do you get access to our custom hybrid bot and sniper bot, but you also get access to SM bot, multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades on a daily basis. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long, and it is hands down the best community for short-term trading. Like I said, you can cancel it anytime, but you probably won't want to. The program is awesome. Check it out. It's that first link in the description in the comments down below. And Tom, we're in the Discord, so we might as well give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, which is Devin N in the Profits channel. You've been with us for a long time now. You've been a great member of the community for a long time, and you definitely banked off of today's SQQQ play. You're up over 100%, and I love to see days like this. So awesome job, and keep it up.
Yeah, nice stuff, Devin. That's a great trade. Let's go, Mike. I love your GIF you posted there, too. One of the all-time greatest there, so I love it. Let's go, Devin. Nice stuff. And, yeah, check out the Discord, guys. Those bots have been super hot, and with the volatility picking up lately, it's been amazing, and it's going to get even better, especially if the downtrend continues. I think it'll make for great opportunities. And it's not like the bot calls out puts every single day either. Like, there's plenty of call opportunities, just like on SQQQ today.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, you can't hold out on us any longer. What's your last play?
Oh boy, Mike, it's good old AMD. I know I've talked about this one a lot lately, but with Nvidia going down, AMD is right around $100 even. I don't think you can find a bigger level in the market, maybe besides $1 if you're talking about like a penny stock or something, but $100. If we break under that tomorrow with Jackson Hole, I will be looking at puts. Now, be careful. It's going to probably get pretty volatile, but they were down 6.97% today with that drop Nvidia had. Just absolutely brutal for those semiconductors there. It almost is like Amazon, Mike. It's just a brutal day for these tech stocks.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, with that being said, let's jump right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Netflix to the downside.
Netflix has a brutal stock today as well. If they break under 404, go ahead and look at puts to the downside. After that, though, target $400. That's a pretty big support. Nice scalp down to there. And then if they break under 400, it could get even worse.
All right. And then with the next one, we have Walmart to the downside.
Yeah, pretty big pullback by them as well. If they end up breaking under 156.50, go ahead and look at those puts.
And with the last one, we have the powerhouse bank stock, JP Morgan, for both directions.
So yeah, JPM here, if they end up breaking under 146.50, look at puts to the downside. Jackson Hole will probably play a big event on this one. And if it ends up going well and they get back above 148, then look at those calls and maybe target 150 to the upside. But it's going to be a big day for banks. I know, anytime Powell speaks, banks are always a bigger part of the market that's in focus.
Yep. All righty. So we have that upside level for JP Morgan. If it breaks above that, we're watching it for calls. We have the downside level for puts. And then don't forget about Walmart and Netflix, both of which to the downside for puts, only if they break below those lower levels. But Tom, we should have a pretty important day tomorrow. This is an event that happens one time a year. And guys, if your week's been pretty slow, it's all right. Go into tomorrow with your head up high. It's a new day. Stay disciplined. Don't get too crazy. Just because last year, it was a big sell-off, walk into tomorrow with an open mind. And keep in mind that this event will start at 10:05 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is 35 minutes after the market opens. But all in all, it should be a pretty exciting day. Let's crush it, guys. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm hoping Powell puts on his cape tomorrow and at least gives us some good opportunities for the day trades, kind of like we had today. I think today was a pretty big precursor ahead of tomorrow. If that selling pressure continues, be ready out there. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. Make sure to join up the Discord. We're going to be having some fun in there all day long and on the Stocked Up Live channel. Check us out at Market Open, but we're going to have a good time tomorrow, Mike, and make sure you're in the Discord for it because it's going to be a very fun day.
Let's go. All right, Tom. Well, we still have to jump right into today's big money trade of the day, and we are looking at MPC. So basically, someone dumped a little bit over $1 million into Marathon Petroleum, and that ticker symbol MPC. More specifically, they bought the 135 strike put options that expire on June 21st of 2024. Basically, right now the stock's at $143. These put options are a little bit out of the money, but they do have like a good amount of time to them. I think overall this setup can be decent. The stock's on a great uptrend right now. It is making lower highs in the short term, which is usually bearish, but the setup has potential. It's not for me right now.
Yeah, and I mean, the big problem here is that inflation's starting to go up, right? And if we keep seeing inflation uptick into the wintertime, it's going to get a little bit brutal, probably with with these puts. Like Marathon Petroleum will probably move up a little bit if that happens, you would expect. But what I'll say is that this has some time to it. It's all the way out to June of next year. So keep that in mind too. It's not like they're expecting this to go down for 2 months and they're going to sell. They're probably going to hold this into, February, March, April, sometime like that of next year before they actually exit if they didn't short these. But I wouldn't think they shorted it.
Yeah. So yeah, keep a close eye on MPC over the next couple weeks and months. $1 million is definitely a decent sized position, but I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. If you guys are, new to the channel and you like the videos, destroy that subscribe button. We post all the time, and when you subscribe, you'll get to hear our mouths more often. So definitely subscribe. And if you guys want in on the short-term action with these day trades and bots, you got to check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Today's play was awesome, and a lot of people did great off of it. So besides that, guys, let's have an amazing day in the markets tomorrow.